Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Carly Stevens, and this is Carly Stevens Books for all things writing, publishing, and indie author life. I've talked to a lot of people who say they would love to write a book, but for whatever reason, they haven't followed through on that. Now, that's perfectly fine. If you don't have the time right now, if you don't have the drive, if you don't feel like you have the experience, I get that. However, I think if you really want to write a book, then you can. There are tools out there that will help you to get there. So today's video is all about taking an idea and turning it into something that actually could be a novel. This video is just going to cover some very basic ideas for how to do that, but I think it's these steps are things that anybody can do. It can really bring you from just a basic concept maybe to something that would be workable as an entire story. So first of all, what is your idea? Maybe it's a situation, maybe it's a character, maybe it's just a vibe that you think would be fun to follow up on. Whatever it is, that's fine. Start with that. Okay, so the main idea that I have here is from that situation, character, vibe, start asking questions. So here's an example scenario. Say you have a cool character that you've been sketching out and she can turn into a bee. Great, cute, fine. That's not a story in itself, that's just a character, it's just a concept. But start asking questions. Has she always been able to shapeshift? Why or why not? Under what conditions? Is the world such that others can do the same thing? Is this accepted? So you can kind of see where I'm going. Do people know that she can do this? Are there other types of shapeshifting that are normal? Just start asking these branching out questions from whatever your concept or character is. Maybe you have, instead of a character, a scenario that you think, wouldn't it be fun to write a book that had to do with that scenario? Maybe you want to write something that you know is dark, creepy, apocalyptic, people are fighting to survive. There's no character in particular in that scenario, but again, the same thing. Start asking these questions: why, what, how, branch off from that. What happened to make the landscape this creepy, dark, post-apocalyptic situation? Do people even know the origins of how we got into this terrible scenario? When you say, all right, people are fighting to survive, who are these people? Is it nomadic individuals? Do we have families? Do we have nations? Do we have clans? And then what type of person do you want to focus the story around? In which of those groups does this person belong? So start asking questions that are going to flesh out this world, this scenario, into something that can become a full story. Okay, now you've been asking questions, right? Expand your idea into focusing on a few different elements: your main character and the main conflict or change that needs to happen from the beginning of the story to the end. That change can be internal, a character flaw, something that they need to realize or something like that, a skill that they need to develop, a lie that they need to overcome. But you have that main character. What is their internal conflict or change that needs to happen? And then externally, what is the change that needs to happen there from the beginning to the end? So start asking questions that will get you to go more in that direction. So what is wrong with your scenario? What is wrong with your character? What wants or needs does the world have? Does the character have? And then what attempts will be made to make that change? That really is the backbone of your whole story. You don't need an entire plot when you start writing a novel, but it's certainly helpful to start with a through line. So a through line is the central idea or question of a story that pulls the reader through from beginning to end. You start a story, you start having questions, you realize, all right, we're going to overtake the evil empire, or all right, we're going to become not this, starving, vulnerable person, but we're going to gain strength as an individual. We're going to learn how to fight, how to love, how to whatever it might be. So consider, what is that through line, that central question that people are going to ask, that is a goal that the character is going to go after, that will pull us from the beginning of the story to the end of the story. So just to recap everything, now it's your turn. You have your concept, right? You have an idea that you want to turn into a novel-length story. So first of all, write out whatever your current unfinished idea is. Ask a bunch of questions that branch off of that. Answer the question of who is your main character. Maybe it's a big cast. That's okay. Be careful with that with your first novel, if this is your first novel. But identify who is your main character, or maybe who are your two main characters. But beyond that, I would say limit it to just one or two. And then what is it that main character wants or needs? What is their goal? What needs to change within them? What is it that is going to propel their story forward? Number 4, how will the main character try to get what they want or what they need? Maybe they need food in this apocalyptic wasteland. What steps are they going to take to accomplish that? Or what's going to happen to change them on the inside? And then that leads me to number 5, what needs to change by the end of the story, externally or internally? So you kind of have at least a very skeletal view of what this story is going to be. What are you aiming for? Maybe you don't know every step along the way, that's perfectly fine. But what kind of story, what kind of change will you end up with at the end? All right, so I know this is pretty big picture stuff, but by following these steps, asking these questions, identifying your main character and their goals, identifying what kind of change there's going to be from beginning to end, you can start putting together your novel. You can start writing it and know that you're headed to a place that makes sense. You're not just wandering meaninglessly around this apocalyptic wasteland or following this bee girl, but instead you have an idea that actually is worthy of writing a novel. If you want more tips and tricks, of course, you can subscribe to this channel, like this video if you like it. But also head to my website, carly-stevens.com, where you can find more resources for aspiring writers, including a guide to self-publishing. So if you are interested in publishing your own books, I have a really involved worksheet that you can find over there. All right, thank you for hanging out with me today. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, I'll see you next week. Bye.